Today, I want to talk to you about Ida B. Wells, probably one of the greatest freedom fighters in world history. I'm not just U.S. history. I know we're focused on U.S. history, but definitely world history. And she is going to take on the KKK. She's going to take on white supremacists, and she's going to win. All right. But before we get going on Ida B. Wells, I want to show you this political cartoon from 1934. This is done by Reginald Marks. He was a political cartoonist, and he wants to bring attention to mob violence and to lynchings that are happening during the American Holocaust, right? So post-Civil War all the way to 1970s. And when you look at this political cartoon, right, as I flash it back and forth in front of you, the first thing you notice is the child. He wants you to notice the child, and he also makes the child a white girl. And that is an important part of this. When we've talked about mob violence, and you watch in movies mob violence and you see things like that, we focus on white men. We don't focus on the children that participated, the white children that participated, or the white moms that participated. And there was a lot of white women that were behind these lynchings, and this is never told, and we have to tell this, right? White women have to understand their role in history of how they allowed or encouraged this violence to happen. Here is a picture of lynchings. I'm going to show you a picture of two lynchings. This is a picture of Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith, and this is a picture of Reuben Stacy. All three were lynched because they were accused of raping a white woman. Now, remember, raping a white woman was the number one excuse used in the American Holocaust to lynch Black men, especially. But we know that's not the case. That was not what was happening, right? I mean, there's no research to prove that any of that was happening. But when you look at these photos that were taken, take a minute to think about. This is in the early 1900s, right? People don't have smartphones. They don't have cameras like we did like when I was growing up in the 1990s, where you could take a picture and go to CBS and get the film developed. They literally had to stand there for a long time for that picture to get developed. Now, also look at what they're wearing. Look at their clothes that they're wearing. We're talking about like the 1930s, 1940s. People literally had one or two good shirts, right? People had to make all their stuff. They couldn't just go to a store like we can today or go to Amazon and just buy something, right? So what you see them wearing is actually their Sunday best. What does that mean? That means they planned it, right? That means this mob violence is not the mob violence that you see in the movie, like the movie Rosewood, where white people just get together. It's like, okay, well, let's go lynch somebody. No, it is a formulated plan that is organized, where they are going to advertise and they are going to bring people in and they're going to make it into a picnic, and people know to dress up for it. And what do you see in this picture? You also see that law enforcement's involved, right? We also know that one of the key strategies of the KKK post-Civil War, when police forces were starting to be created in the U.S., is to infiltrate the police to gain that power. But look at how people are posing. They are proud of this murder, of this slaughter, right? They want their family members to remember that they were there. Now, also look, I zoomed in on one of these of the lynchings to show you, of course, how they brought children, right? And also to further prove that they're wearing their Sunday best. Like homeboy over there is wearing all white, like this is the 1930s, 40s. They don't have washing machines. To wash that and to clean that would have taken like hours, right? And not only that, but now he's bringing his daughter, and look at the smirk and the smile she has, right? Like she is so proud of this moment. Like she's so excited to be here. I mean, that's crazy, right? Can you imagine taking a child to watch somebody get killed, right? You think the trauma of that, but it's not trauma for her. She's happy to be there. So before I get into Ida B. Wells, I want to tell you about the role of white women in this mob violence, because they never get called out, right? White women have never gotten told their role in these atrocities. And I'm going to give you an example of that. And this woman's name is Rebecca Latimer Felton. Married at 17. She was valedictorian of her class. Woo! But she married a 30-year-old man who was not too smart, and she wanted political power. Now, she is a daughter of a very wealthy land-owning family in Georgia who used to own a lot of slaves, and she is very politically active. So women were not allowed to they weren't allowed to run for political office. So what did they do? They had their husbands do it, and then they ran their husbands, right? There's a lot of women that run their husbands, even today. She wrote his speeches. She ran his campaign. She argued with representatives for him. She was advocating for poor white people, but she also used racial stereotypes and racism to get her husband to win. And the one theme that they had throughout their campaign was that you got to vote for her husband because he's going to protect white women. He's going to protect white women because white women are in danger of black men, and that they are going to get raped, and they portrayed black men as being beasts, and they won the election in a landslide. Right? And she used and played on this fear that if you allow black men to vote, right, they're going to vote. And when they vote, they're going to want equality. And when they get equality, they're going to want to marry and have sex with white women. And that's how they won in a landslide, right? Crazy, crazy.